It's Thursday, the 11th of May, 2023. Welcome to the Fast Five by Fear and Greed, where we give you the top 5 business stories you need to know in just 5 minutes. I'm Michael Thompson, and good morning, Sean Aylmer.
Good morning, Michael.
Sean, 5 stories, 5 minutes. Let's jump straight into story number 1. A lot of fallout from the federal government's budget on Tuesday night. Market economists who have estimated that the government is actually adding $21 billion to the economy reckon the budget could put pressure on the Reserve Bank to lift interest rates. That's not what we want to hear.
No, while the government says Treasury advice suggests the budget's cost of living package will ease inflation pressures, something Jim Chalmers talked about again yesterday, Goldman Sachs chief economist Andrew Boak isn't so sure, saying the $21 billion in net spending raises the risk of further rate rises. Now, the government has made an injection of net $44 billion into the economy over the course of the first 2 budgets. That includes $9.8 billion in the October budget and $13.4 billion for the 15% pay rise for low-paid aged care workers. Tuesday night also included, of course, $5 billion in unemployment benefits, nearly $3 billion to lift rent assistance, and $1.5 billion for the federal government's contribution to energy bill subsidies. A bunch of economists came out. BT Shares chief economist David Bassanese said the budget was unambiguously expansionary. UBS's chief economist George Tharanow said the $12 billion in additional government policy decisions next financial year equated to net fiscal stimulus to the tune of 0.5% of GDP. EY's chief economist Sherelle Murphy said federal government spending was making up an increasing share of the economy, contributing to inflationary pressures. Of course, this is at a time that the Reserve Bank is trying to slow the economy and inflation by lifting rates. If the government's adding stimulus to it, the Reserve Bank ain't going to slow down.
No, Sean, story number 2, still on the budget kind of theme. I think it's worth a look at some of the stocks that may benefit most from Tuesday night. You've got retailers, healthcare and real estate stocks skewed to low-income earners are the 3 sectors of the share market set to get a boost, according to analysts.
That's right. UBS strategist Richard Shellback said Domino's Pizza, Coles, Wesfarmers through its Kmart business and Super Retail Group could all win among the retailers thanks to the cost of living relief packages. Building material suppliers CSR and Boral, developers Stockland and Mirvac, along with companies such as Domain and REA Group, the online property selling companies. They could also benefit from the government's assistance for first home buyers. RBC analysts said Sonic Healthcare, Helios and Capital Health could win indirectly thanks to additional funding for Medicare. Any boost to net migration would benefit healthcare companies like SDR, Regis Healthcare, Ramsay Healthcare. Interestingly, a lot of those stocks got a real bump yesterday in their share price, just demonstrating that the budget does matter to some of these companies.
Yeah, absolutely. Story number 3, Sean, I know you're in the middle of home renovations and you're certainly not alone there. So probably plenty of people listening to this one. The boss of building products group CSR has given really a pretty upbeat assessment for the sector, saying there's still a backlog of homes to be built and that's going to cushion any downturn in the industry.
Julie Coates said the pipeline of 110,000 detached houses still to be built is 50% higher than historical averages, and the backlog could drag on to the end of this year. Now, it's all about a shortage of tradies. That's why there are so many homes still to be built. Coates was speaking after announcing a 20% jump in pre-tax profit. Revenue was up 14%, mostly reflecting price increases. Dividend also jumped by 11%. Its share price, though, closed down 2.7% to $5.32.
Story number 4, a couple of COVID darling stocks have really kind of fallen on hard times lately, Sean. Bubs Australia is one of them. Yesterday, the board terminated the employment of its chief executive, Christy Carr, effective immediately.
Do you remember when Ms. Carr was pictured with Joe Biden after there was a shortage of infant formula in the US? And
yes.
Bubs filled the gap.
Yeah, that was an extraordinary story when that happened.
It sure was. Now, times have really changed. The reason given for her sacking yesterday was failure to comply with reasonable board directions. The former chair, Dennis Lin's employment with Bubs was also terminated with immediate effect. Last month, Lin was replaced as chair. Now, in a statement, the group said given the deterioration in Bubs' financial performance, it was time for a change in leadership. Whack. Bubs' share price peaked pre-COVID at $1.39. It's now worth about 18 cents. Another one, just to mention quickly, is online marketplace Redbubble. It will cut nearly a quarter of its staff as it tries to head back to profitability. Its share price has gone from more than $7 in early January 2021 to yesterday's close of about 42 cents. After the cuts announced yesterday by returning CEO Martin Hosking, the group's lost about 37% of staff since the beginning of the year. Hosking's interesting. He's the co-founder and the largest shareholder, so he certainly has money in this one.
Finally, Sean, story number 5, Air New Zealand, which last year began long-haul flights, super long-haul flights from Auckland to New York, are going to install and rent out bunk beds, which you can actually then rent by the hour on flights. Now, if there was, say, a more immature person than me involved in this right now, there would be so much giggling about kind of like immature stuff like Mile High clubs and kind of things like that and renting it for the hour. But you know what? I'm going to take the high road on this one, Sean. I'm not going to mention any of those things. Go for it.
From next year, 4 and 6 hour sessions in the beds will be available for economy passengers for around 100 New Zealand dollars an hour. They'll be available on Auckland to New York flights, which can take up to 17 hours. Stop sniggering, Michael. And the Auckland to Chicago flights, which are only a touch shorter. The 6-bed pods, known as Sky Nest, will each have a pillow, sheets and a blanket, earplugs and a reading light. Now, passengers will be limited to 1 booking per flight. Time limits are set to be strictly enforced. Love the way Air New Zealand yesterday came out and said cabin crew will politely wake any passengers who sleep through.
That is going to be a highlight of my career, hearing you refer to the line 6-hour sessions in the bed.
Michael.
There we go, Sean. The top 5 business stories in 5 minutes. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Michael.
It's Thursday, the 11th of May, 2023. Remember to hit follow on the podcast. If 5 minutes isn't enough, you can find our longer daily show called Fear and Greed wherever you listen to podcasts. Don't forget as well, the Amazon Echo smart speaker range comes with Alexa built in. Simply say, Alexa, play the Fast 5 by Fear and Greed podcast to catch the latest episode, and you can get yours now at amazon.com.au. I'm Michael Thompson, and that was the Fast 5 by Fear and Greed. Have a great day.